Hello everyone and welcome to yet another live coding and chill. I'm your host Johnny, delighted to be here. Hope you're having an amazing weekend. Let me know what you're up to. Let me know what you're doing this lovely Sunday. Maybe it's something fun like coding. Maybe it's something fun like playing beach volleyball. I don't know what you're up to. Let me know. And what we'll be doing is working with Storybook. Storybook v10, the release candidate 1 is out, and we'll be trying out with Svelte. And SvelteKit will be trying to design some components using it in isolation to use in our own app. There are links in the description for everything, including the app that we've been building the past couple of weeks. It's an app designed to help you in your drawing artistic journey by giving you random Pokémon to draw. And also, just for the fun of it, last live stream, we've recreated the Who's That Pokemon functionality from the show. That's just an amazing game. Sometimes I just pull this up on my phone and try to guess which Pokemon I would know. So I don't know that many. If it's an early generation like this, like the Jolteon, the Flareon, then I would know it. But some of the older ones, unlikely I would know. And not that old, actually. Anyway, this is not here to test our Pokemon knowledge. Today, we'll be using Storybook in order to make this card, this guessing game, a bit better. We'll be trying to add more things in it. We'll be trying to make it more visually interesting, more accessible on how you can play around with it. Storybook can help you with a lot of those things, but it has its pros and cons. Some people use it, some people don't, some people have opinions of it. It has been getting some good press regarding the Svelte and SvelteKit integration. In Svelte Radio, I heard recently that, Storybook is actually good now. And I had opinions on Storybook in the past, so I was keen for an excuse to try it out again. I've used it extensively back when it was React Storybook, back in the day before it was cool. And I haven't used it that much with Svelte. Still, for work, sometimes you do have to work with React. People using React love to use Storybook, and we'll talk about the why. And I guess that's gonna be it now. Our app has like login flow and all of that, but you can just go find the link in the description and play around yourself. You don't need an account to just play the guessing game, but it is a secret link for now, so you need to go to /guess if you want to actually play the guessing game. We'll make it in production, maybe today, we'll see. So, what are my thoughts on Storybook? Do visit their own site. They make like a great bits there with the little video that they have here. And you can see that even with the one we've hooked up with the app ourselves, we've created some stories. Well, already it's gonna click and show the revealed version of the Pokemon there. And you can actually rewind this, play it forward, stop on any event. That's pretty cool. This is a pretty cool functionality, and I have created an Excalibur presentation for it. Let me switch to desktop mode to see more of it. So I would say that Storybook for sure is great for component libraries. If you're building a component library, you can auto-document your components for it. Again, they have better demos in their own website than the ones that we have so far in the young app that we're building. But you can showcase all the different components you have, their various different states. You can publish this Storybook for your designers to see, for other stakeholders to see, for people who wanted to use your open source library to see. It's pretty cool. For kind of low effort in the end, you can get this up-to-date documentation and showcase of your component library. So for component libraries, it's amazing. Also embeds with design tools such as Figma, has some cool integrations to be like, the Figma screenshot, if you overlay it in the rendered app, then it's a bit off, so you may want to work on it. There is quite cool stuff to do with this. And in general, even if you're not building a component library, it's good for building UIs in isolation. You can be exactly in control of what props the component gets. When the props change due to a state update or something like that, you can orchestrate the interactions like we showed before. Even on my little demo, you can see that I've set up a few. You can rewind them back and forward. You can toggle around with the available props of the component here. So I guess how does it work if the height is like too big? Doesn't matter because it doesn't show in this case. What if the name of the Pokemon is too big? Anyway, like you can play around with those things yourself. I should have a component with like an easy toggle there to show it. I'm sure in their site they have something there. Yeah, so a toggle is a classic one where you can see the different version of it. You just click out of stock and then it's like, oh, this is how it looks like when it's like disabled or whatever. Pretty cool. And it can mock your framework magic. So even if you're using a meta framework like Next.js or SvelteKit, it can mock a lot of the stuff that it has there. So if your component looks into the page store to see the page URL, the parameters of the page and stuff, you can mock it in Storybook and have it still work in that specific story and pretend, oh, it's using the ID of 15 to find the Pokemon, and therefore it shows the number 15 Pokemon. It is using 24, so it shows Pikachu or whatever that corresponds to. So great for those things, great for component libraries, great for building UIs in isolation, which are kind of the same thing. If you're building a component library, then building the components in isolation is more important because people will want to use your components in isolation. They don't necessarily need to use them through your own app. They want to use them in isolation as they need in their own app. But the question is, do you need a component library? And I think over the years, the answer has been increasingly recognized as no. That's something I haven't liked to begin with, and yet people still keep getting me to write component libraries for them. Oh well, it's likely your project is not a component library. And I know that people in the Discord actually are building component libraries, and if that's the case, then fair enough. You have a component library, you're open sourcing it, or you're in a big company that has a dedicated team and you are in that dedicated team that's making that component library. Great. Storybook will be amazing for you. But I think most people watching the live stream as well don't have this. They don't have a dedicated designer that will be looking at designs in Figma and comparing them with what you're building. So the complexity of adding Storybook in your app becomes a bigger burden for a benefit that you don't necessarily have. And if you're not building a component library, then if the quality of your edge cases what will make your app, you need to delight your users and show them something fun, and the design, the whimsy of your app is important for them to like your app. But is it like when a component goes into the error state, is that the one that will make the user bail and break and not use your product anymore? Is that what's gonna make them smile and be fans for life? I don't know. I would say that usually the edge cases of the component are not your unfair advantage or whatever you want to call it. It's not the thing that makes your app special. It's not your unique selling point and whatnot. And therefore, the benefit of Storybook, where you can easily showcase the edge cases and various variations of every component, is not that big of a benefit for you. The second point is that maybe you shouldn't build UIs in isolation because that's not how your real users are going to be experiencing the components. If you're not building a component library, your real users are going to be using your app and experiencing the app through them. So it's better for me, I find, to actually test your components not in isolation, test them in correlation of when they are part of the real app. So if we did have the feature where you guess 3 Pokemon at a time, having the individual guest card be a Storybook component that you can work on is neat. But if your users would only see it in correlation to 3 others, then there are things that you may miss, like, oh, what happens if I click the first card? Does the third card silhouette also appear? Those types of bugs, how they get sized in a grid. Usually an individual card on your Storybook may look perfect, but in reality, when you present the 3 cards in a grid, they look squished, they don't look nice. Some things, there is like horizontal scrolling or anything like that. This is something that you may miss if you focus too much on doing the per component testing. Your apps, your real users are not going to go to your Storybook to see that the card actually looks great. They're going to go into your app and say, oh, that doesn't look nice after all. And I did mention the framework magic that you can mock with Storybook. As always, the more mocks you have, the less confidence you have that the real thing actually works. So if you have to mock the page parameters and all of that, then maybe you've missed something on how SvelteKit works to make the parameters happen. And you haven't nested your routes correctly, for example, where you use the component. So it doesn't have access to the ID prop, and then it breaks. The more you use the mocks, the less confidence you have that the real thing in production works. And something kind of specific to Storybook is that, well, in general, no one wants more configuration files, but I found that from the start, Storybook to set up was such a nightmare. Back in the Webpack days, it was an absolute atrocity, I may say. Back then, at least you needed a Webpack for your own app, and then you needed a separate one for your Storybook, which is already a nightmare. But recently, v10 has taken over the JavaScript world, and having your nice v10 build of your web app and then having a Webpack to wrangle with just for Storybook was unacceptable to me. But they switched to v10 as well, so they are getting better at having less configuration, but still, we can look at the code that I needed to set up for this later. They have some helpers to set up the code for you, but it's a lot. And it still confuses my IDE. It still doesn't find some selectors. There are still some plugins that, or add-ons as they call them, that haven't been migrated to v10. But even if they were, like, why so many plugins? It's the burden of having like a super popular and really good project that people want to make add-ons for it. Some bugs about the cool functionality of making the describing interactions and revealing the card. Like, it confused my IDE, it confused the LLM. The LLM will try to pick up things it used to do in older versions of Storybook, and when it goes wrong, it's going to be like, oh, the Webpack config is wrong. You don't have a Webpack config. I'm going to create one for you and add this option, and it goes into a spiral that is hard to recover from. Anyway, these are like the buts for Storybook. Hello, Farangelo. Good afternoon to you as well in the chat. But with so many buts, I want to say that there are unqualified pros for using Storybook. For designing single components, it's a great experience. It's an amazing experience nowadays. And the fact that it's super popular makes it good. I'm not some sort of like hipster-only frameworks here, only hipster stack. If something is popular, it makes me more likely to want to use it because there's going to be more research for it. If I go work somewhere, it's more likely that they will have something, that thing, and I'm going to be more familiar with it. So it's carry-on knowledge. It's not just a nice little project and then the Storybook knowledge and knowing how to configure it. It's not getting lost forever. I may use it in other projects that have been built for me. So yeah, these are unqualified pros. I don't have to say anything bad about that. But I will mention before we really get started some of the alternatives. What I do like doing is designing within the app itself. I have the code editor here in a story, and I guess how you would work in the Storybook way and the way that we're gonna work soon enough would be to go into your component, and we have like the generation here that you can click to reveal, and you'd go in here and just say that this needs to be bigger, this needs to be like this, and then you'd start working on it here. What I usually do is I'm in the real app. So where the real app is, I just go here. I guess I need to go to, I am in the space. And similarly, I'll just make the updates here, hot reloading nowadays, or whatever similarity there is, whatever they're calling it. It makes this sort of workflow very, very doable. Again, for single components to get into the edge case, if you're fetching some data from your database, you'd need to worry about seeding the database in order to have enough records to do pagination if you're trying to design a table and you want to work on the pagination. With Storybook, it's easier to do. You just write the data in the story yourself and you're in control. Like, oh, this user has 35 items. So if we want our pagination to be like this, then you set the data up and you work on it in isolation instead of having to somehow create 35 records for yourself or whatever else. The thing with the Storybook from mentions There are tons of add-ons. I don't use many of them. The accessibility one is the one that I am using. However, it is one of those that I found were crashing for me before. It's passing now, so that's promising. And still, we are in release candidate, so I won't hold it against it. So for sure, there are some plugins, including the accessibility one that we see as we play this, and the reveals. I think I intentionally had put something that would cause an accessibility violation. I think it was how big the stats target was, so now it's not getting it. But yeah, Storybook can be good to double check across your various variations of a component and the edge cases, is it still accessible? It has some really cool things as well, like blurred vision. 22.9% of the users, according to stats, have blurred vision. Do you want to turn and see how that looks when turning this filter on? Kind of simulating using filters, how your users would see the app. So yeah, not being ableist and trying to make your app more accessible to more people using Storybook is easier. You see this right here, may make you more likely to use more iconography, larger iconography, instead of just forcing people to read, for example. Anyway, big on that, but I didn't have a separate section for it because I did find it crashing just before the live stream. However, it's working now, so great. We may see it live. And alternatives, including for accessibility, usually I use Playwright for that. Storybook, I think, has a built-in axe linter for accessibility. What I do like to do with Playwright is to use accessible selectors, so I still know that people, that the elements in the DOM have very relevant attributes, so people using screen readers or other assistive technologies can go through the app. And you can also set it up to do the same sort of checks, or is that target big enough? Do your images have out labels? And now even v10 can use a Playwright behind the scenes in order for you to run those tests faster. And in fact, if Storybook also has testing implementation using v10 and Playwright behind the scenes, which I also found didn't work with the release candidate. So I'm not gonna show it today. You can just skip the middle person and go reach for v10 directly and try out browser mode. Playwright does have the component testing mode, which I think years ago I've been asked about to cover, but it's still experimental. And my main problem for it is that it needs a separate Playwright config for it. And as mentioned, I want fewer configs. So I haven't really used it in a real project yet. What they have added since is the UI mode. That's like a Cypress style interface for seeing your tests, which can be similar to the thing that we showed previously with the interactions, where you can even like rewind to a state and see your QA go through the app yourself. So UI mode with Playwright. Again, usually I try to do this testing the whole app or a whole user journey, not on a component level. But again, that's just a preference. That's an alternate way to do things. I think this way, if you're building a bigger app, the more holistic approach is better, but it's not like silver bullet. Johnny says it's better for everything, or that means that Johnny is right. If you're building a component library, then a solution like Storybook itself becomes better, because each component should be able to be used in isolation in various edge cases, should be seen in isolation. People will be using your product, the component library, in isolation. So I would lean more towards having Storybook. All right, I think that's enough rambling. With 80k stars, let me know how were your experiences with Storybook. What are the add-ons that you like using? And maybe I'll give them a try. So, Anything else especially cool here? You can even add Markdown or Markdown X kinda easily into files that the Storybook will pick up that can help you present your components better. Again, if you're building a component library, this is where you'd be advertising this component or explaining what it does. Because automatically, without you having to do anything, it can derive from the props of the component that you have is activated prop, and you can toggle that and kind of play around with it. But that doesn't necessarily mean that the user will understand what is this component about. So with the Markdown integration and the autodocs that they have, this is your chance to be able to explain, oh, this component is about this, use this, blah, blah, blah. And I think the components are searchable here. I do think you cannot search according to the documentation that you have written for the app. So if you're looking for like a data table, you'd need to have the component be named data table and not have something in the description that also mentions that this is well used for data or anything like that. I'm sure there is an add-on for that, because navigating a big component library would be important, effectively navigating it. But yeah, I think that's gonna be it, and we'll get going to actually coding. So, as mentioned, usually if I wanted to change something like, oh, how does the generation reveal happen, I would just go in the app and work there. But what we'll do today is try to get on it with Storybook. It does collapse kinda nicely, although if I do resize the window, well, if I horizontally scroll here, you can see that the controls are kinda overflowing here. But hey, it's not the end of the world. If I do pick just a single variation, and another cool thing with Storybook, if you have your example and you have a component library, then people are like, oh yeah, this is exactly what I need. Then you can show the code, people copy, they paste it into their app, good to go. So another way why Storybook is so popular and so handy when you are building component libraries versus apps. And here, so immediately I'm confused, because usually when I'm in this mode, it has a bit of a bottom bar, button navigation that allows me to go into a specific page, and I want to just go into the Eevee page here, because I think for this one, they don't have a problem with the controls. Yeah, so it's contained horizontal scrolling in this one. So that's the one we're gonna use. And we're showing how we're messing with how big this is. But what I really want is to say that split out generation, just have X, 9, 3, be the touch target that you have to guess. That also accomplishes that the person looking at this knows that that this placeholder is for the generation. Instead of using a label, it's gonna be self-labeling, I suppose. A generation is gonna hint you that, oh, you're supposed to reveal a generation name. You're supposed to say 1, 2, 3, 9. Good. So how would I do this? So ideally, I would want it to look like kind of this in the end. Maybe not. Not really. Ah, and also, we keep going on that journey of asking the LLM to do stuff. So let's see how it will hang. Let's say it fully generation part of the generation. So it kind of knows. Let's go. So split on the space sounds fine, because we know that generations are only going to be, they in the database that we have, they all start, the display name, the generation name that we have there always starts with generation. Oh, interesting. Just replacing generation space is not splitting, which maybe makes more sense. All right, so generation this didn't take account accessibility. Let's go to like the big mode and check whether there is a flag to say that this is too small. So this is a pass, which it shouldn't be, right? Because this is surely way too small to be at that target. It's high enough, but and I guess it's not close to other touch targets, so maybe we get around it. But I don't know. I wouldn't be happy with this. I would want it to be a specific width as well, in order not to spoil that. Oh, it's I. And maybe could be Unicode. All right, so it just added generation here. Fair enough. Maybe flex with gap to 2. All right, but this needs to have a specific size. We're not allowed to pass class to the revealable placeholder. Maybe here. Yeah, it's not doing anything. So I would want to pass a class here. Why not pass any possible attribute to the button? Maybe this shouldn't be buttons, I guess. So that could be why. But you can't pass an on-click, I suppose. Props. So spread them here. And I want to take out class. pass it with class name, so it's not the keyword. And I guess pass it after these standard thingies. All right, so now that's done. Let's try to use standard ways to do things as much as possible. I guess in React it would be like this, which is why it went for this approach, I suppose. Right, we did all of this because we want to say as a class and say that all of this should have some width. All right, which should hide which generation it is. And that's the case where you'd want to change the generation, potentially, because then you'd want to say, what if it's X? Those look the same. It's not overlapping, right? Easier to inspect in the real app. But yeah, I think we're good. This looks like the gray box. I've also set up something to update the theme, and this exposes that. Oh, exposes nothing. It looks kind of nice, even here. Great. Yeah, let's see the generation again. Sure. And maybe this is even thinner. Yeah, looks decent, I would say. How would they signify the types? I would want to do something similar. Could say dual type or single type. But yeah, I think that's fun. The thing with the placeholder is that I do want it to have rounded corners. Yeah, maybe bold is too much, but semi-bold. Okay. Monospace font would also work, I suppose. We may need to bring that up. But yeah, should we bring like a different generation one? We see that the story still pass, And I suppose the test will still pass. Since we talked about the tests, let's see if we can make playwright run in UI mode as well. Not here, different application, here. UI mode, is it just does UI? It does UI. Contrast and compare. Can't find it as a different project. Okay, so not the setup, not the cleanup, just the Chrome ones. Cool. And let's see, for the guest route, we have all these tests. Let's run them, see how it goes. So it runs blindly, but afterwards, I guess you can see what happened. This one, I guess one of our tests was, I can't find generation I, because that should only be revealed after clicking. But I guess for some reason, it was doable before. So we navigate here, great. We wait for hydration. It's interesting that the snapshot shows the skeleton UI here. It's kind of cool. We can see that we can guess this, but it can still find this whole thing. Even though we say that this should not be visible. So what did we forget to do here? I think by default this is case insensitive. Let's rerun them and see if you can actually see it as it runs. Great. If you run an individual test, you can see it. So here it fails. You can hover the selector and see that, yes, it can see this. It doesn't go away. But I don't particularly understand why. Because it should be invisible, right? This is invisible, so the I part. But maybe that's not enough. Playwright. Should we ask the LLM? Select be hidden. Hidden. I can only imagine it does the same thing. Yeah. Let's see. It's fully this guy. The expectation. So even on the storybook episode, I'm like, we're gonna do playwright. And I know that me messing around with UI makes for a fun stream. I've told you to always run the test afterwards. Okay, let's manually test if it works before telling the LLM off. The answer is yes. All right, and while it does that, so it didn't actually fix this. It's not testing the thing that we're testing before. Okay. So yeah, it fixed. It's the classic like fix a test by deleting the test. Type patterns may be more fun. Exact true, of course. Good. So this should still be happy. Test them all. Just do it myself. Not to be visible. Let's see if we change these to be hidden. Faster and free to do it yourself sometimes. Great. And what else? want to check if we're doing any rejects somewhere, but I guess not. I guess that's it. All right. Maybe this should be a different color. I don't like how I looks. Should we add a different Pokemon? What's your favorite Pokemon from a later generation? Like the 7th generation? Let me know in the chat and I'll use that one. Or else, I'm gonna do it here until we find one. We're not showing which generation it is. Is it Fletchling? Good one. Kartana. Find a nice one. Run it locally. Ah, Scorbunny. Another fire type? Nah. That's a geary. Dear Lord. Steenie, grass type. Great. Hello, Ali. How are you doing? Nice to see you this week as well. If you have a favorite late generation Pokemon, let me know. We'll add a story for it. Or else we're adding Steenie. We even need Steenie. The story for I should have done like the Sprigarito. Svelte MCP issues the other day. Yeah, the Svelte server has been the best one of the ones that I have been using. I've been happiest with those. But I don't remember which particular issue you're talking about. I've used the Chrome MCP server and I don't like that one. It has too many methods that I don't want to use because I'd rather the LLM use the Playwright MCP server for many things. Also, no matter what I try to tell it, it will still try to capture screenshots, which is bad because if it's a screenshot, then it needs to run it through a visual model to actually understand what's going on, while Playwright does offer a few methods to get a snapshot of the page and navigate the tree programmatically, like we do in the tests, which is cheaper because it's just text, you don't need to go through the visual part. So the Playwright MCP server has been good, but still my favorite has been the Svelte MCP server. I think it works great. Togedemaru. Suggestion in the chat from the flat-faced cat. Unsurprisingly, it's super cute and super round. We all know round things are very cute. And it's quadruple, not triple seven. That's a jackpot, if I ever saw one. So yeah, actually use that one. Let's see how the other one do. It's important to tell the LLM that we're doing this because Togedemaru is cuter. All right, let's go to the tests. It's right there. There it is, very revealed. And here you go. 7 has a problem discovered. So we need this to accommodate, I guess, up to like 3 letters. V, I for 8. Double the size would be enough. So yeah, maybe it will look a bit silly for the other ones. Plunk. Not too bad. If I refresh, there is an I. Should we align this to the left? The real thing. So I would want to experiment. It seems that it wouldn't be able to satisfy the even longer generation 8 here. And yeah, that is looking a bit silly. But it's a big enough touch target, that's for sure. So that's nice. But yeah, let's align this. I would imagine it's this. Place self-start. Guess not. Is this flex? It is flex. Ah, of course, but this is not a flex container. So place items start. Item start. I think there is one that you can use even when you're not in a grid or flex layout. Surely. Content start. It's 2025. It says the cross axis, which is not what I want. Is it all about that axis? Justify start, maybe. Nope. I didn't want to turn it into a flex container, but I didn't know how not to do it. Didn't know how to do it well enough. So they all look like this to start with, and then you press, and then it kind of sticks there. Yeah, not too bad. Maybe if we give it like a bit of a gap. Yeah, I think that looks decent. Don't you think? Also, I guess important note, this is using Svelte 5 runes and state and stuff, this component. The guest card, and it just works with Storybook 9 and 10. It's kind of neat. And I think this is cute enough to move on. Let's design some Pokemon type badges. So, will we create like a new component? Let's save whatever we have here, I suppose. And think about what we want to do. We want to design some Pokemon type badges. We do have the SAT-CN badges already. Let's have a look at how they saw them. Sadoken, as I like to call it, the component library, which sometimes doesn't resolve. I don't know where it's hosted. I think it's hosted somewhere good. In any case, we do have the SAT-CN component for badges there. You're currently off cursor because you think that it's making you lazier and dumb. Well, great engineers, they've always said this, even back in my day, that a lazy engineer is a good engineer because they'd find a way to solve the problem with the least amount of effort, which is what you want. Getting dumber is bad. There is no getting around that. But something that I always was feeling and saying, and some people were annoyed with when I was pairing programming with like a more junior engineer or another engineer, I would be quite known to take over the keyboard if we're working through a problem and they try to recall how reduce works, for example, because I know how reduce works. I can write this, immediately without thinking. I stopped doing that because some people were upset that I was taking over the keyboard. They wanted to type the reduce themselves, think about it, recall it, use it. They felt that made them a better engineer. But I wasn't doing this to save time or to show off. It's because I never thought that knowing how reduce works makes me a better engineer. This is not an interesting problem to solve, how exactly the reduce works, which one is the accumulator, do you have to return it or whatever. So that part of the LLMs is kind of this, that I don't think it's interesting that I know exactly how reduce works. I don't mind if the LLM does autocompletes and does the reduce for me. So that's good. The problem is, what if Cursor or whichever LLM does the reduce in a wrong way, introduce an error, mutate something, an object that's outside of the reduce or anything like that? That will introduce a problem that if I don't know what happened there, will be very hard to spot later down the line, and I'll be spending tons and tons of time. So it's a bit argument for sure. Lots of people are saying, okay, the LLMs are producing code for us. They are saving time in the amount of code that is written, but then we have to look back into the code to find the bugs that it introduced or, shape it up. So unclear. I know that with me working with Cloud Code, it does lead me to working more on this app. So yesterday I was working with it on a Saturday and having fun with it because it's kind of like having a pair programmer and less, I don't know, more fun for me than just doing it by myself. So by myself, the work I did yesterday, I could have done it faster. But I could have given up at some point because I'd just be burnt out just writing some code and writing a feature. I was doing the database synchronization thing with a cron. And at some point I would get to a step and be like, okay, let's move on. But giving the LLM a chance to do something gave me the boost I needed to go play piano in the meantime and then go back. And it's like, oh, let's try to fix this. So it's an issue. The thing that saves these sorts of apps is that I do try to run and test them locally before I merge and ship to production. And it's still like, a bit of a side project. For a real work, for production, that can be more problematic, especially if you've added code that you don't understand, how will you debug it later? That's a problem. And even in this project, if Cloud Code just starts running migrations, those are very hard to roll back, depending on the setup that you have. If you run a migration on production, you may have caused an issue forever, because then, oh, you forgot to default this to something. Now you can't ever try to run a primary key on it or a foreign key reference on it. You'd need to create a new table, copy the data to it, rename the old. You'd need to do some sort of crazy hack. If it's just code that introduces a bug, just a couple lines, then you can get in there and fix it. But if you migrate production, then it's going to cause more problems. So I guess if there is any tip there, it would be try to not let the cursor or Cloud Code run migrations in production, I suppose. If it's going to cause bugs, try to catch them before they make it to production. Have a setup that makes it more likely that you'll catch those bugs. But yeah, on the premise, or is it making me or anyone else dumber? I don't think knowing the exacts of how does a reduce work on an array is interesting. I don't think I'm cleverer for knowing this. If I forget it, I don't think I will be dumber. So, who knows? Hello, Bozdar. Thank you so much for the chat and your lovely comment a little while ago on my first live stream back. I forgot to reply. There is like quite a few comments there that I should be getting back to. But thanks so much for your support, and your comments are always refreshing, motivating me to do more. Right, so we have this fun Pokemon here. And this thing did something. No, it did nothing, because we were chatting without having the LLM work for us. Oh, a rookie mistake. A rookie mistake. I need to have a... this is a hot topic, so I don't know if it's fun enough to leave it like this, as this agenda item. But I will want to broach it in the future. Maybe we can run an experiment. Like you can see, like the last year, I think I did 70 live streams. You can see, like, was I cleverer then? Next year, will I be progressively having less skills? Maybe. I'm definitely more lazy. I'm definitely lazier now. Right. So, what do I want? I want to... they should be using the classes from... so there is like a variant keyword, I think. Yeah, so like button variants. Do we have like a buts variants? Is that a thing? Yeah, so we have but variants. The buttons that we have should be using this to have more accessible touch targets and focus rings and all of that, which they don't. They have like kind of uglier ones. So this may get us to resolving this. Let's say in guest card and see how it goes. All right, more chat. How are we liking the slightly purple light on the background? I think with the days getting shorter, even though we changed the clocks today, didn't we? Well, depending on where you are in the world. I do find the little happy lead that I have here makes me more willing to code for a bit longer. Another thing, like giving the LLM a chance to write some code while I do something else, especially the scaffold files, having the light there, the little tricks we do to keep us doing work. So it claims, let me check what Pokemon types we need to support. So let's stop. Say types. There's the type. So that's another problem with LLMs. Everyone in the world would know that I mean like lightning and fire, but an LLM may be like, oh, you mean like I don't know, OP, legendary, mythical, I don't know, something else. Oh, it does say I've already created exactly that. Right. So sorry to doubt you, LLM. You're doing it well. Keep doing as you were. Yesterday, when I asked it double check the cron solution that I wrote, the LLM was like, "This was surprisingly, this is surprisingly robust, really good." But why are you surprised? Come on, who is the principal software engineer here? It's one of us, and it's not you. All right, so here I need to tell it correctly not be a button anymore. Something that it did is make all these placeholders be buttons, which is great. You want them to be buttons, but after they're revealed, they're still buttons. But buttons should only be things that you can interact with, unless they're disabled. So after you've clicked and you've revealed, maybe they turn into disabled buttons. Or I'd say being disabled signifies that maybe at some point you'll be enabled again. You have used it, so you kind of understand why it's disabled now, but it doesn't make perfect sense. So I would be up for either making it a disabled button after you've revealed its placeholder, and just to have a visual thing. Let's go to the app. So here, here, here. You can see that it looks nicer already. So this is a button, and you can indeed click it. The way the code is now, this is still a button, but clicking it does nothing. It doesn't even pop up in a satisfying way. So why is it a button? It could be a disabled button, but then it should also probably show you the cursor. It's like, oh, you can't interact with this. And you're like, what do I do to interact with it? You re-roll the Pokemon and you get another one. So it would kind of make sense, but for me, most sense, it would make before you reveal, it is a button. After you reveal, it's not a button anymore. Disable button, maybe better. Oh. We could ask this. Layout shift. We got them. Interesting. So they have the whole span, but the placeholder is a bit bigger. They look cute. I like the colors that it shows. I do think they are the official ones. And I suspect that they are the same regardless of theme. That's an easy thing to check. Chuk, chuk. Yeah. All right. Nice. Let's review what it did. Oh, it has all the colors in the word. We could try to find the official Pokemon type colors. Do you have a link for this? So in here, so it has the Pokemon type pads. I think this should be bigger by default. Can I pass like size? Do they have a size variant? No. What is the use of Storybook? I did ramble about it for like 20 minutes. I would suggest finding the link in the description or checking it out there. But because they have a great demo of what their showcase is, of what their use case is, you can see here that we can set up a few components to easily see their states. If you're using a component library, amazing, do that. Most people don't create a component library. So for most people, I will do what I usually do, which is design just in the app here. But in this episode, we'll be trying it even more out. So let's try to create a copy for it. So a test for the LLM is that I would want it to create the story itself. I have given it instruction to look at other stories before creating stories itself for inspiration. But for this one, I would want all the variants to be in the same page. Good case for Storybook. Instead of needing to have like a million different Pokemon to check all the different types, you can have a single story that has all the Pokemon badges. Great. But the way that works is slightly different. Oh, it also found different colors. So always check your sources, especially with LLMs. Okay, so let's make a it created the placeholder here. It should have put it in here. So let's have it finish their work before we send this. It's used by, well, let's see the story. So how it knows to write a story is by using the story component, which is self-closing, but in reality you can pass children to this component, which could be like each of the components that you've imported there, or very different components. Let's see if it will figure out how to do this, or if I'll have to interject. Don't see this. It seems stuck. Is it because I've put this? Right. I guess so. I'm keen for it to stop, so it will put it into the correct directory. This kind of bailed because I opened the prompt in VS Code. Whoops. Title was a guest card for this one. I don't know why on the other one, trying to create it with a different title. Types to colors. Is it done? Okay, let's see what it is. It did. Ah, all right. So it feels like it kind of did it correctly. Well, I didn't need to add this, didn't need to add this. What's our other story again? Don't have actions, so we don't do this. It, first glance, looks like it didn't mess it up. So let's see if it's this children thing that messes it up. Ooh, legacy. Let's see. Ah, it didn't specify this as a module, which makes it legacy mode, I guess. Yeah, so that's one of the bugs that would be hard to find, or is hard to find, if you were a regular human. But like this week I spotted that someone was likely using lowercase I instead of an uppercase I instead of a lowercase l, which is inhuman to spot. So of course I would spot this. Right, so this should have created a new story for the badges. Do they look nice? All types don't show. So why are is it giving it a class for capital S? Did create a flex grid here, which is something. Let's double check. So in new SvelteKit, you just specify this, you pass in children, and that's it. Anything else? This just needs to be module. Looks fine. If I had just this and water. It's so anything? The answer is no, unfortunately. So once again, we're in the counter case for Storybook, where you spend a lot of time debugging it. The component is my component, so that's fine. We didn't pass a type there. It doesn't do anything else weird, does it? If you just remove this, all type story. No. It's saying that we have set the arguments there. Anything else? I think v10. You can pass in the args there, but that's not what we need. Like this is the after, so this should just work. Story name default, and just a couple badges, and that's it. Could it be that they don't have enough width? Could be. It could be. Let's see what's happening there. Is this the actual story? Is there a better way to find the selector there? Maybe, maybe not. Let's check this. To lowercase. They're not getting given types, you say. This is a type. Right, so it's crashing because this is trying to be the component itself. Okay, I think I get it. So this is trying to be the component, and it's crashing. Okay, but that means that what they're saying doesn't actually work. So the component is this, you get the story. And it's trying to pass arguments to the component. Would it only work if it doesn't take arguments? If I don't give it a component, is it happy? Yeah. Okay. So I think I kind of get it. Okay. So it seems there isn't a way to both have a story that shows all the props for a Pokemon type badge, and then one that overrides, like the moment you specify that this story is for this component, it will try to give it props, it will try to render it. So this templating mode won't actually work that they claim they have. And they are saying component, my component, and then they have this, the other component, and then they render it again. Maybe you are supposed to use snippets there. Okay, so let's give them a chance. Let's give them a chance. With the templates snippet. And then I can have like as many as I want. Great. And if I don't use the arguments for this story and actually use arguments like type fire, then it should work. All right, we got there. But then we can do like the each loop that this thing was trying to do all along. So the thing is that if you don't want Storybook to automatically try to pass your component arguments, then you need to use this snippet and then you decide whether to use the arguments or not. All right, we got there. So it's all types as type. Perfect. And this is the all type story. Well, the default story it's called default, I guess. Self close. The arguments is type fire. All right, I think we got it. Hopefully this kind of makes sense. And we do want to have it so they will wrap around. Can I give this a class? No. That's not wrapping. So why is this getting as big as possible? Who knows? But it looks kind of nice. So a bit of a Storybook use case is this, that instead of, if you want to design these, instead of having to go to the app and have like 16 Pokemon open with different types to see how they look, you can have the single story where you can play with the controls here and make this be like an enum. Ooh, this should have changed the color. To apply different classes, but it doesn't. Interesting. I wonder if it would work with an enum, and we may do this later. But yeah, we can see them all here. And also it does these accessibility checks. And we can see that there is a serious one. Oh, nice. Some to element. Like the normal one is not accessible enough. Great. Let's resolve it. So there you go. Accessibility win. The normal one as well. Most boring one. So what would I actually do for normal? Let's see. Tell one colors. Which one is this? BT700. Stone. Refresh. Fire. Whoa. It's gonna be for everyone. Right. So let's see this. We don't have a playwright test for this. And I would love for the LLM to do this for me. But hey. All right, so there's a few things we want. Let's make the an enum or a const. Would I have typed it faster? Probably. Especially with autocomplete. See. I'll even tell it where to put it, which is where the Pokemon type paths should be. So move to as well. And also Right, let's write this, send this, hope for the best. The big thing I'm hoping for is when it types the Pokemon type paths better to take a type that's a particular type, derived from all the available types. Then on Storybook, when I get to this controller thingy, I would have a drop down to select one of the available types. Maybe that would only work if it's an enum. Maybe that will never work. I don't know. But we're gonna find out. The other thing I would love, which I guess I could do, is have Playwright do the accessibility test, and with Playwright MCP, I should be able to do this. This check. Let's see, Playwright MCP. I think they mentioned the tools that they have. It mentions accessibility snapshot, but it does mean the tree it sees, like with all the roles and stuff. I don't think it's able to understand the contract's value. I think that's the one case where I considered keeping the Chrome NCP for. Because I do think it has a few tools that would find this. Like the Chrome inspector will give you the accessibility warnings too. I think that the performance related stuff do not have to do with accessibility, unfortunately. I am forcing to do a TypeScript check as well, which apparently it did manage. It did help it catch an error and then amend the code. I would have like a type card, like is Pokemon type. So let's see what it did. It relocated the component. Nope. Ooh, did something extreme. So that's not a boolean. It's a Pokemon type array. So how come it doesn't know this? Don't think that's the problem. But so he thinks that this is a string array. Each Pokemon is a Pokemon. This thing, it's a Pokemon type, right? Why does it think that this is a string array? Unclear. Let's see if it's actually caught by PNPM check. The answer is no. So maybe it's my editor. Maybe my editor doesn't know that this has been updated. Yeah, now it knows. All right. So just an ID problem. Great. But let's restart the server anyway, just in case the problem was that we moved a few files for the Storybook server. Nope. Unable to index files. Oh, there is two. It kept these instead of moving them. Just delete them, I guess. It looks like it will eventually work. But if I start this, it does flip out. I will restart the server once more now that I've deleted those weird files. The docs are flipping out for this page. But for now, let's try to design this a bit further. And yeah, I guess nothing. Accessibility check. We just have three. So the green one, the orange one, and the lime one. So grass type, fighting type, and bug type. Grass type, the fighting type, and the bug type. And now no accessibility problems. Amazing. Great. Love this. So this was super fun. And I would want them to be bigger by default. I think I can manage to do this myself. Let's see. For everyone, it's doing the... I'm surprised that fairy somehow passes. But I guess it does. Anyway, let's remove the border transparent thing. Let's see how that looks. It did nothing. Great. Would we want a border for this? Unclear. Bigger text? Too much. Is it like SM by default? Oh, is it even less? So what's variance? Let's see. Text. Excess. Jesus. So I guess by default, without this, it's excess, which is too small, surely. Is this too big? Yeah, maybe SM is fine. Would I want a border? Is this a real thing? Probably not. Yeah, I would like something. Let's look at our app CSS. Let's see. We have the border color, I guess. Be color gray at some point. We have the border CSS variable. I guess on dark mode it's really dark, so you don't see it. I think that's a real color, but who knows? Yeah, you can kind of see it in some of them. Looks kind of nice. I think it's kind of transparent, this border thingy. So it does look quite nice. It gives them a bit of a sign. So accidentally, we have a bit of a win here. Great. So we have all these types. I still don't know why this is causing a problem. The other story was fine in regards to autodocs. Blah, blah, blah. Enable this, sure. Anything for Svelte. This. For an individual component, we can do this. But, oh, subcomponents, you say. Maybe this only has subcomponents. This is what we wanted. So if we say that this is the subcomponent, then the docs still don't work. It's kind of unfortunate. Anything else you can give us? Theming stuff, blah, blah, blah. Can I add some markdown? I think they don't have anything that's built for that. Classic mode. There's a GitHub gist. I wonder if it's the same one people found. The LLM. So thank you, Farangelo, for this. Let's open it up. Pokémon type colors gist. Here, just a list. Here's the colors. If you can't find a color, make it gray. Nice. So I will paste a link here. Here. there must be something that automatically figures out which color to use to have it be accessible when given a single color. So I know that there are things I understand. Okay, this is on the darker side, so we will use white text. But if it's not enough, the contrast is not enough, I would love it if it would be able to make this an even darker shade. But yeah, I think with components and subcomponents, yeah, I don't think I can use MDX with the Svelte. Can I? Maybe I can. Oh, let's see. Right, so this is like an MDX file. Which says, just import this. Which references this story, which is fair enough. And then maybe they don't have auto docs there. And then they have the canvas thing. Canvas, I guess, is all the stories. Doc blocks. Okay, let's show this. Let's show this. Do they call it Svelte CLF again? Is there CSF, their standard component story format? I think that's what this means. All right, so our problem is the autodocs ain't quite populating for the Pokemon type pads, but we can add our own docs with MDX here, which is slightly trickier when you're also using their new Svelte CSF. So let's see how it will work. Just copy everything, plonk. And besides the story, we want I guess you can name it anything. Types pads. And let's embed the old types story from there. Whoops. So many things that can go wrong here. The meta is this. I wonder if I just turn off the autodocs at the component level. Override. We did this. There was a way to turn off autodocs just for a single component. Ah, not autodocs. So for this one, define meta. On this level, we can just say no autodocs. Great. This actually worked. Celebrated too fast. Whoops. Yeah, maybe I will just not do that. There is a space there called all types. If that's the problem, maybe we can do it. Maybe we can help it. Let's use the default. Nope. It feels like we're importing the correct thing. Maybe not. Yeah, it's Pokemon type paths, not Pokemon types paths. Okay, so now we can write our own docs for it. Default one, all types. Okay. And if I keep the autodocs, if I don't do this, does it still crash? Interestingly, now the autodocs kind of works. And it has this, which sadly doesn't apply to different classes. I don't know why. Ah, maybe we found a bug. So the type colors depend on the type, and if you change the type, this should change. So this should be a derived value. Should be using a rune to tell it to derive this every time the type changes. This should change. Oh, that's nice. And so that's beautiful. And is this all we need? Maybe. Like we can write like a nice story of this where we saw like all the Pokemon types and we say that, oh, we brought this from here. But yeah, let's show the override, because we're also documenting the color somewhere else. So, no autodocs for you. And for the MDX, cool. So we can send an individual one or a different one. What else do Pokemon type? with custom colors according to this gist. In regular markdown, this would paste it for me. Based on Assadzi and Svelte bands, but with custom colors according to this GitHub gist. Transported. Isolated. To tailwind colors for sufficient contrast for accessibility. So since Svelte, if this works, still doesn't, sadly, I would paste to Satsi and Svelte directly. But you don't get the controls here. Do they have anything else about controls? Controls. Great. Do they interact anything? Oh, nice. Beautiful, actually. Actually beautiful. Yeah, so we've managed to come across the Alice's in the chat. Now I see why teams would love Storybook, actually. So yeah, we've arrived to a use case where it's pretty neat. You can have the designer here. You easily see how each of these gets rendered. You don't have to have 10 pages open with Pokemon just to check their types. You can easily see each one individually here. We saw the great accessibility check that told us, well, this doesn't have enough accessibility. So that was pretty awesome. And you can pass your own custom classes. I wonder why this happens. We explicitly say you may pass a class here, I guess. Would we ever pass a class here? Maybe not, so to avoid confusion. Let's not have it. And it auto-updates. Doesn't take a class anymore. All you need, required prop, asterisk, is you need to do this. Great. Poison. It looks like this doesn't uppercase it either. Let's leave the class. Why not? Maybe we'll want to overwrite it at some point. But the type here Why does it not get uppercased? Why is it uppercased here? What did I do in the story? Ah, I've added capitalize. So do we want it to capitalize it or not? I guess that's a reason why you'd want to pass in a class. But by default it's like this. And if you want, you can capitalize it. Sure. Anything else? Nope. I wonder if this has an accessibility warning. No. So, yeah. You can kinda tell. And I guess red could only be a fire type. But there are a few similar ones like fighting and ground. But hey, when you have a million, that's where you arrive at. And if you have difficulty seeing some colors apart, some sort of color blindness, you can see how the text as well is important. Fire, fight, and ground, they all look the same. Really cool. All right, so we could do other stuff. We could have like the border only be at the bottom. Actually, but we won't. That's like too much. Just a quick visual thing. You can see it gives it like a... I actually like this. Gives it a bit more of a 3D look. So elsewhere it has a width of 1 at the border, but at the bottom it has like the chunkier one. How chunky can you go? Kinda like it. Maximum chunkiness. Yeah, went. All right. Are we actually using them anywhere? We had fun. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. What did we break and how? Let's do our classic of rerunning the dev server and hoping for the best. No story rendered. What? Clearly something weird happened. Why is this a subcomponent? What's this about? Did I do that? Probably. Okay, so I messed this up. Sorry. Type story here. We could just name this docs, I guess. Like everywhere else. No? does it find this? Oh, it's the name of the document. Ay. Can I change the title? For the table of contents, unfortunately. There must be something here. It is title. So I kind of guessed correctly. But it's not exactly what we want. Just uses the name here. Open an editor, it says. Will it find it? Oh, beautiful. Okay, so the title is here. It's not actually respected. If I change the name here, it will get there just fine. But it will still keep the doc's name. If I had it in like a separate directory with all of this, then I'd be good to go because I would just call it docs. But hey, is this what I want to do? Maybe. Unclear. If this bothers me enough to do it. I guess the answer will be yes. I'm trying really hard to break it. Robust. Okay, Storybook, proven to be robust. Let's use the type, shall we? Alright, so layout shift. That's a problem. Let's solve that. Alright, so the placeholder should be a bit different, I suppose, is the idea. I need to remember to do this and maybe call it a stream. I don't know why that didn't capitalize. Cursor pointer we don't actually need. Ooh, color analysis MCP server. We're talking about automatically figuring out whether a color is accessible, whether it would be able to derive what to put in front of it. If this is the background, what colors should I put in front of it for text? Interesting. So if we were to hook up Cloud Code with this, and we should add some instructions to say, whenever you're working with colors, or especially background and text colors, then you should figure out, then you should use the accessible color contrast MCP to ensure it has at least this level of accessibility, like AAA WCAG. So that'd be neat. Start this. Plonk. Oh, 0! First star! Wow. Would be fun. Like updated last month. Some things are just done. Alright, so it claims layout shift fixed, but I don't think it's checked with Tailwind or anything. Yeah, you fixed nothing, mate. So how does this work? Buds variants. Maybe we should create type buds variants. And then it figures it out. Would it be able to do this? Let's see. So what I want to tell it, I want to tell it quite a lot of things. Again, I could have just done this. And yes, Chrome MCP would be able to do the same task. I mentioned a bit earlier that I did have it hooked up, but it kept using tools from the Chrome MCP instead of Playwright. and it did add quite a bit to the context. When I would be doing my best to just tell it, just only use the Chrome MCP to quickly check debug logs and do accessibility stuff. But it would still try to use Chrome over Playwright, so I just disabled it, unfortunately. Maybe I should give it another try though. So I wanted to export this. Okay, so this may be enough. Let's see how it understands it, if at all. It says, now I understand I need to create a similar pattern for Pokemon type bands with a type variant for each Pokemon type. Then reuse those variants in a placeholder. Let me refactor. Does it really understand? To-dos are correct. Refactor this. Update the type bands placeholder. Oh, done already. Let's see what it did. Nice. It added the capitalize this time, but not like, oh my god. This is the thing where LLMs are kind of autocomplete on steroids, and that clearly it's found this pattern with a border, and it's unable to stop itself from adding it even when I told it not to. Don't know why. Notice that they're all the same color now. And how does it work? Pass it the variant, then the class name. So it looks like it should be correct. I will update the Tailwind stuff as well, just in case. Although these classes should exist. Is it because it's extending this? Maybe. Maybe there is like a bit of a condition there. Okay, so it claims it successfully eliminated layout shift. Looks correct. Yeah, okay, it successfully did eliminate layout shift. However, something is overwriting. The default variant is this, I guess. How would we tell it? To only use the base. We could just copy it, I suppose. But we're close. And yeah, just in case, let me restart the server. But I do think that's the problem, that we're getting the default variant first. And I didn't know about the extend option, so that's neat. Okay. So maybe we don't want to extend this. I want to say they're inheriting this. So yeah, the fun thing is that the autocomplete is kind of helping me write the prompt for the LLM to do some stuff. Oh well. I think it will manually copy and paste the classes, the base classes there, which is, I guess, fair enough. Just copy these, but can we get them? Can we somehow get them? Base, it's here. You can find it. You can do it. I'm incapable of not adding this. Okay, so that's incorrect. I guess, you know, it looks correct, but hey. Solve the problem, but not quite what we wanted. All we wanted was to add this. Maybe not. Maybe not. Okay, so they look like this. If I don't want them to extend. I want the base to be. Can this be CN? Can we use CN with this? Class names, utility class names. It's not imported here, which is kind of scary. There you go. That's all you needed to do. Hello, Abdul. how are you doing today? So yeah, we copy pasting, not bad, but if you can get around it, why not get around it? What am I building? Great question. So we're close to the final recap, but we have this app which was meant to inspire me to draw a different Pokemon every day. I was doing this by myself, just rolling the number, well, by code, because I don't have a 1024-sided dice. But I built this app, gives me a different Pokemon every day to run, and we figured out that I was inspired to do a Who's That Pokemon game. Ooh. Like this. And you're supposed to see this and remember, oh, it's little Leo. Exactly. You just play by yourself. And what we're doing today is using Storybook a bit more, first time in this project, to help us design the app and see if it's actually helping us, even though we're not building a component library. So we can see that the focus remains here at the end when the user clicks. When the automation clicks, not when the user clicks. So kind of interesting, like in real life doesn't seem to happen. But yeah, this has like some focus points, focus rings. Maybe we should resolve them. Unclear. But the types do look nice now, if I may say so myself, for the guessing game. But they should be the same width, or you'd know that it's like, that's a classic problem. You try to guess, oh, this is like a bug. Still. Maybe it's kind of fun, like intentionally the name can give you a hint on what it's called. I think that's fine. But if you're a pro gamer, you know this has to be fire. Guess not. Class tier. Should they all have the same width? So now that we can see them all, we can easily, with Storybook, see how would they look if they all had the same width. Let's see. Yeah, maybe that's all I needed to do. Just have a little test to see what looks nice. Maybe that's it. And bam, no hints anymore. There you go. So Storybook win here. This would be kind of annoying to start. Like I wouldn't know if all the combinations looking the same would look nice. Kind of like it now. It used to be like this. Don't like it. Perfect. All right. Also accessible because we were using relative units. So always accessibility in mind. Is there any transitions? Color and box auto, it says. Can we set transition none? Save a bit on rendering time. Great. Anything else we'd like to do? And yeah, I'm trying out Storybook way back in the day when it was React Storybook. I tried it out, used it quite a bit, then thought that it was more work than it was worth it. Maybe today with this project, if you're not building a component library, either you're a small project that you're open sourcing though and other people are using it, or you're a company, you need to have a component library for whatever reason. Then when you're building apps by yourself, you may be better focused at testing the components within the app. That gives you more confidence that as the users experience the app, then they're gonna have something usable and nice. So if I wasn't using the app, like I created this badge component, but it's like, oh, I forgot to add it to this, to the random Pokemon screen. So what's that about? But we can see that for some cases, like the one here, seeing all the badges, all the variations easily, this was handy. So yeah, and I hadn't tried it seriously with Svelte, and in the past two releases, 10 is on a Storybook 10 is on a release candidate, Storybook 9. Apparently, it became much better, much easier to work with in a Svelte or SvelteKit app, because I think they just switched to v10 being the builder, so you don't have to wrangle with a webpack config as well. Still quite a lot of config that it needed to get set up, but I did this yesterday off stream, and maybe we can talk about it some other time. But for now, let's also add it to our Pokemon card. These lovely little badges we have. By copying what we're doing in here. So Abdul is saying, I remember I was trying the Next Force template, which has Storybook inbuilt. That project, which should have taken me 2 weeks approximately, it took me more than a month. You do need to find Storybook. It is some extra thing to set up. Working with LLMs nowadays as well, it is some extra context that they need to have in play, another thing that they need to remember to update. And it does introduce more work. Again, if you do have a component library, then that work will pay dividends, because your clients are people that will be using your components individually, and having a free documentation page that Storybook can give you is worth their effort to set it up to begin with. But it's unlikely for most people that watch these streams that their unique selling point is their components. The functionality of the app is likely your unique selling point. So if you just focus on make the app work, make the app look nice, and not focus too much, oh, in this edge case, it should look like this, when the thing errors out, when the user has too many things and needs to paginate. And if you set up Storybook, besides the initial setup cost, it may make you think that you need to think about the edge cases more. It will naturally have you working more with the edge cases. That's, I guess, my opinion. But I did enjoy playing around with it today. If I was starting another project, I'm not sure if I would set up Storybook for it. I think I would just avoid it. Unless I'm building a component library. But it's here now in this project. Cool, guest card. It's a type. Don't need this comment. I want this Pokemon card. We want this. Not revealed. No index. The placeholder. What am I doing? So what is it using here? Just a Pokemon type bands. That's it. All we need, but we do need to bring this in. Hopefully it's bringing the correct thing. All right, we got here in the end. And here is using the types here. Cool. Maybe we don't need this. Maybe we don't need this. Where did I delete this from? Pokemon card, of course. Where do we use the Pokemon card? Couple places. One of them being the random route, correct? Are we in the random route? No. Here we are. So no need to label the type. I think it's more obvious. So we're talking about the types here and that they have the colors. Kind of neat. So Farangelo, thank you so much. You're saying you're enjoying these more exploratory sessions. Haven't seen anything similar on YouTube. It's also an excuse for me to work a bit more on this app or whichever project I want to look into, or whichever library or package as well. But I know that instead of just by myself and my light here, and I guess I do have like the Eevee here, the Umbreon to keep me company. But anyway, might as well expose it for the world and see me code alone. And Abdul also says, go live often. Last year was my peak of going live weekly or maybe twice a week for a long time. This year we're starting again, and we'll see where we'll get to. And I'm a principal software engineer, or I've reached that level at some point, I suppose. I have been doing engineering for 2 decades now and more. And I started way back in the day by wanting to be in game dev, but that wasn't really an option, especially back in Greece back then. So I was like, what's actually feasible for me to do that will have to do with software engineering? And it was web development. And initially I got into PHP and doing more backend stuff, but I'm really excited when I see people see the end result. So optimizations on the backend also excite me, like clean code, beautiful code, all of these things do excite me. Doing something and be like, oh, now this takes like 5 nanoseconds. I like it. But what gives me the most joy is seeing someone use an app or play a game, I guess, that I made, and see their eyes spark, like the final outcome. What happens behind the scenes? Cool. But without the front end to showcase it, I think for most people it just falls flat. So that got me to switch as quick as possible to doing full stack JavaScript and eventually TypeScript and all of that. And now sometimes when I find things I'm interested in, I try them out live to show my stumbles to the world. It's also, these streams are an imposter syndrome cure. If a principal software engineer stumbles things and messes up and has like compile errors and whatnot, then it's fine if you do too. But yeah, if I don't know things, if I need to Google things or whatever, it's fine if you do too. But sometimes I do think I have some insights based on experience I've gathered over the years that you may also find helpful. So seeing my failures, helpful. Seeing me struggle, helpful. Seeing me have a nugget of insight every so often, also helpful. I have this for an intro, so I have prepared something else. Right, so we have the types here. They look neat. Mastiff. Is Mastiff really such a new Pokemon? Well, Sword and Shield, I suppose. Really good. What else? What else were we doing here? I did add these here. I think we'll make the guest route public. The idea for this app was to inspire me to draw every day, but we started doing the Pokemon thingy. Who's that Pokemon thingy? I think it looks kind of neat now, actually. But this may be it. We should be doing the 3D effect with the letters of the generation. Let's see. Text shadow. Would that just work? Just want like an easy way to do this. And again, let's go to like the Pokemon guest card. This guy. Revealed Eevee. then here, let's add it. But of course, when you are like on the light theme, you don't really see a shadow, do you? So what I want, it's not a text shadow, I guess. But what do I want? Not sure. I do want to stack the offset. Yeah, maybe something to do offline. I think it'd be boring to see me work this out. I just want like complete dark to go over at the bottom of this thing. It would give it a bit of a 3D effect. I guess I could stack like two eyes together and kind of relative position them, but that feels like cheating. It feels like something I should be able to do with shadows. But yeah. Anything else I would like to show today? Or there were a couple. Ah, the buttons. Which are buttons? Which aren't buttons? So I'm not going to do today because we've been going for quite a while. And I'm hungry. Hungry for more code, hungry for more features. So these things turn into spans after you've clicked them, and they start as buttons, which I think is great. It's what we want to be doing. Ah, the skeleton UI doesn't have the types like this. We should amend this. And yeah, so there are buttons to begin with. Blink, they become spans. They could also become disabled buttons. That would also be more than acceptable. But I think for the name, they start as buttons, but then they're not disabled buttons. They remain buttons, but they're nothing. But they pretend that they are enabled. So I'm not sure about that. And maybe we should turn them to be disabled after they've been revealed. Because, you know, you use them, they were buttons. Should you change the element? Maybe not. Maybe not, maybe yes. Guest card. Types. No need for this. And therefore no need for this. Because you'll know that these are the types. They have like this trademark look now. That looks super cool. But we need to update the placeholder. I did want to also show the Pokédex entry and then update the placeholder here, but hey, we're not going to do it today. But one final thing, let's ask the LLM. So read fully this. That's the updates we've done. And after this run, let me know what you'd like to see next, what you'd like to see next week. We will likely keep going with this app, but as always, if you suggest something and I'm like, oh, I get the hyper fixated on, then it's like I will do a stream just on that. But my plan would be to finally do the tracking functionality where, all right, you've guessed a Pokemon or you've drawn a random Pokemon and you want to say, I drew this. We need to do this functionality likely using the new Svelte remote functions, the form remote function that Svelte now has, experimental mode. So you click, you track that you drew Pikachu today, great, and then you can go to some sort of dashboard that shows you all the Pokemon that you've drawn. And we could even do like some cool graphs as well, some cool charts, like how many days in a row you've thrown, which one is the one that you've thrown the most, that sort of thing. I think that'd be fun to show eventually. And it was the goal from the app, from the beginning for this app. But I got a bit of sidetracked with how do I sync this Pokemon to my database, and how do I make this guessing game look cooler. What we got here in the end. The thing with LLM code is that it loves adding comments that explain what it's doing, which I think should be self-explanatory. But when it comes to Skeleton UI, I actually like this, because who would know what all of these things mean? Like this shimmer doesn't really, like, it's not going to be these many pixels if you make the pixels bigger, no? This is REM based, so unclear what it means. Anyway, for most things, I don't like how it comments things this much according to your prompt. I think it's made for you to be more likely to believe that it did the job, it did what you asked. But for Skeleton UI specifically, I do like that it adds nice names to say, oh, this is supposed to be this section and this section, because just seeing skeleton everywhere, I wouldn't really remember what it was. Ooh, hard fail now. What did he do? What did he do to crash so hard? So clearly the skeleton has problems, right? But who knows what they are? Is it gonna try to take a screenshot? Its favorite? It's gonna look at the console messages. There you go. So that's not the hydration problem. It's on the wrong path. Ah, maybe it is, actually. Let's restart the server just in case, really quickly. The server should be showing the skeleton UI to begin with, and then switching. And I guess it goes into the error state right after. This is a more likely problem, but I don't think it actually would break things completely, maybe. So the problem definitely is not that the skeleton doesn't have the same elements as the UI that eventually loads. But putting a div inside of a p, maybe it's causing some issue. That I would believe. And indeed, that was the problem. So the skeleton UI gets rendered in the server and then needs to be the same on the browser. I guess the browser was auto-fixing the P becoming a div because it knew that inside the P you're putting a div and you can't do that, so it turned the P into a div or something like that, and that was causing a hydration error. But the fact that the skeleton UI becomes something else shouldn't really be an issue. And you can see that it looks like slightly different, but that's something to fix on a different time, I suppose. Or less tall. No screenshots. We'll do it some other time. I think this is enough for today. Let me know if you have any finishing comments or any finishing thoughts. Let's have a recap what we've done. We've changed the random route a little bit by adding our new badges here, but mostly we worked on the guest route here by making these night revealable badges and the generation something thing here. So you can guess and you can't see it but be like, oh, this is very long, so it's going to be generation 8 or something. They all take the same space. And we try to develop alongside Storybook. And I would say it was handy for the Pokemon type badges here, just seeing them all together, just figuring out that it is fine to make them all be the same width. It would look nice or nicer. I think it was nice, but even now, even though I spent most of Saturday setting up Storybook, we still need to do a bit of extra setup for this. But I guess if you have a few components already, if you are using the markdown docs somewhere else, if you have places where you can copy paste the start of the code, then working with Storybook will be a bit easier. Again, for apps, I don't think the components are your unique selling point, but they could be how you get people to smile. And if you make a user smile, you have a fun for life, as they say. So that's the food for thought for today's stream. I think it will be it. Again, let me know in the Discord, in the comments, or wherever else, if you have any particular thoughts on what we should be covering next. It is likely we will do the drawing functionality, the I've drawn this functionality. So after you've played the guessing game or you've rolled the Pokemon that you're going to draw today, then you go ahead, you draw it, you want to track it in order to have a dashboard where you can see all the Pokemon that you've drawn and some nice stats. That would be what we'd be doing next in my head, but who knows? We have a week till then and anything can change. As always, thank you everyone for watching, spending a bit of time with me, especially the people in the chat. Thank you, Fanaglau, once again. I will have a look into this MCP server and have a better look on how to make the LLMs take color contrast and stuff like that into account. I do think there is a way to do it with a playwright integration. It was nice that it managed to debug the hydration issue just using playwright, although in the end when I told it, well, this looks a bit taller, then it did try to default to screenshots, which I guess is fair enough at that point. Just from the tree, you can't really get how high it is, but since you're using Tailwind classes, you would be able to tell that something is taller than the other. Anyway, I digress. Something for a different time. Thanks again to everyone, and to everyone, good night or a good evening or a good week, let's say. That should apply to everybody. See you around.